Today's Stripe Show podcast is brought to you by About Golf Simulators. And we're back, Stripe Show podcast on a Wednesday. Hope you're having a good week. I'm your host, Travis Fulton. Thank you for tuning in here today. Good show yesterday. Keith Stewart, he is on site at the Shriners Children's Open in Las Vegas, TPC Summerlin. Really a good golf course. When I was running the PGA Tour academies, we had an academy at TPC Las Vegas, which is not far from that location, and another fun golf course that you can play. So, you get to Las Vegas. Of course, there's a lot to do. TPC Las Vegas, I still think, is public, so you can play that. Angel Park, another facility that's right there. And then TPC Summerlin is private and sounds like is in great shape for the tournament this year. Excited. I think Keith hit on a lot of really valid points. It feels like, the way that the fall season is set up this year, guys jockeying for position, it means something. It always means something. They're playing for obviously a lot of money and it's their job, but the way that it's structured and the points and really trying to move up and solidify your position, I think they're really onto something here. And you could feel it last week, and it sounds like the intensity is ramped up again this week. Now, today I was going to try to get the David Ledbetter podcast launched. We're still working on that. We're looking at probably launching that tomorrow. So I think we're in pretty good shape there. And that's all right. So you have to wait one more day. David was in the studio this week, and we had a live audience, something that I'm going to be rolling out a lot more next year, working on a full schedule, a full Stripe Show in-studio series with the top teachers in the game, full swing, short game, putting, mental, physical, you name it. We're going to be covering it here on the podcast. So excited to get that rolled out tomorrow, Friday at the latest. David Ledbetter in the studio. I'm going to touch on a couple things, tease what we talked about there here momentarily. I'm also going to be bringing in some swings here today. I want to talk about Adam Hadwin, a player that has played this golf course very well, T10, T6, T34, T4. How about that? Over the last 4. Adam Hadwin worked with Mark Blackburn, was looking at some of his swings. I want to show you some stuff as it pertains to a follow-up to last week, Operation Baby Draw. Wow. Thank you for the support on that. I appreciate those that went to my website and signed up for the program. That was fantastic. Much appreciated. TravisFultonGolf.com, Operation Baby Draw. My number one training program, that and Total Driving. It's close. So Total Driving does very well. But Operation Baby Draw applies to so many. Operation Drip Fade, it's significant other, if you will. It's on the website as well. There's a bundle there that some of you partake in as well. I appreciate the support. Those programs are designed for those that cannot come see me in the studio, and you can follow along in the way that I teach right there at home and learn to hit that baby draw. I'm going to talk about Christiaan Bezuidenhout today as well. He's been taking some changes with Jeff Smith, and then we're going to talk about Lexi. I've got some really good stuff on Lexi Thompson, who's in the field this week as well. Her ball striking has really struggled this year, although she does have, I think her last 2 events, she did play better, a couple top 10s, but it's been a bumpy season for her. And I was looking at a lot of her swing video over the last couple days, and there are some significant differences. One of the things that I like to do is I like to look at players when they do struggle and you see a fall off, go back to when they were playing well and just compare. So it's really, I'm not criticizing in any way. That's not the intent here. It's just to look at, okay, here's where it was when you're playing well versus where it is now. And I'm going to show you Lexi Thompson, just like I showed you Scotty Scheffler in his putting. And just like I showed you Justin Thomas in his swing, you're going to see it. I mean, it's very evident at least to me, on some of the things that are happening there, that hopefully she's looking at to get her ball striking back on track. Her driving has struggled. Her greens and regulation has struggled. Her wedge play really struggled, and I think you'll see some of the reasons why. Now, let's get into it here. Ledbetter, of course, tomorrow. He's got his new swing device out. It's called the Straightaway. And it's this cool little clip or a cool little device that you clip on your shaft, and it really helps you get things started. And I'm a big fan of working on the takeaway as I bring in a picture of a young man that's taking it back, and his hands are moving away from him, and the club head is working kind of low into the inside. The driver, low back, slow and low. You know I don't like that with the driver. I don't like taking it back slow and low, because when you do, that's what happens right there. The club head stays under the hands and it gets inside underneath quickly. Hate that. That right there, that picture is fingernails on the chalkboard to me. Here's another one. Okay. Hand path better. Hands are more in. Left arm, upper left arm attached, which I'm going to show you with Hadwin here in a minute. But you can see the club head kind of inside the hand line just a little bit, and you can see that toe, the club face, the toe pointing way up. I talked a lot about the club face angle with Ledbetter as well, and how the club face angle, in the way that it's been taught over his career, how that has changed. You know, here's a guy that has seen this industry in teaching golf for the better part of 50 years. I asked him, how long you been teaching? 50 years. I've been teaching for 23, and sometimes I feel like my head's about ready to explode. He's been teaching for 50. And we talked about the club face angle and toe up versus toe down. And so there's another one that you see. There's a lot of initial takeaways, issues that happen. And learning to fix that goes a long ways for a lot of people. So we're going to show you that tomorrow with David Ledbetter's Stripe Show podcast in the studio, working on the straightaway. I'm a fan of it. You can actually go get it. You can get a discount. I'll go ahead and give you my code. I'm going to be giving it out tomorrow, but if you want to jump the gun, you can. Travis10. Promo code Travis10, capital T. Travis10, straightaway. Go get a discount. And I'm going to take you through. Both of us, going to talk a lot about the backswing and how that sets the stage at the top, and then what that means coming down. Really, really good stuff. Now, I want to bring in Adam Hadwin. And you look at this first move. Watch this. This looks different. Boom. Hands, club head in line. I always look at it as when it gets to halfway back right there, okay? And for those that are listening, I'm going to describe this to you. For those that are watching, I appreciate it on Travis Fulton Golf YouTube. If you're not subscribed to that, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go subscribe. Leave us a nice comment, too, if you don't mind, in a ranking. But you look at the club shaft there. See how the shaft's in line with the left arm? I like that. I like the club shaft in line with the left arm when the club shaft gets parallel right there. Now notice the toe. See how the toe is slightly down? The angle of the face is more consistent with the spine angle. That's a really clean position right there. Like, if I can get people there, I'm happy. You know, like you can do a lot from there. Things kind of start taking shape from there. It's on plane. The relationship to the body is really good. The club face is square. The wrist angles, I think, are starting to kind of come together in a more superior way, if you will. And so that's a really nice position. And then from there, he keeps turning. He hinges it. His left arm works around. And then from there, it's going to pitch back behind him, and he's going to turn through. Now, this is a shot that he tried to hit a draw. And when you look at Operation Baby Draw, I talk a ton about this position right here, and I talk a ton about what the club face looks right there, okay? And this club face angle, folks, is of high relevance today, because when I show you Lexi, you're going to see the difference. From this camera angle, do you see how we can see the club face? It's looking back at us a little bit. Like I can see the face right there. So I like to see a little bit of that face. If that face disappears, then the face starts to get a little open. And when the face starts getting a little open, and if you're going to draw it, well, now you got some work to do, because you're going to bring it back down from the inside. You know the face instinctively is open. And so more times than not, people that try to draw it from an open face, they sacrifice shaft angle at impact. When you get the club face squared, let's say to slightly closed at the top, that's pretty square. You can see the angle of the face matched up to the left arm. And then from there, he brings it to the inside and he hits it. Well, now you can lean the shaft forward and you can rotate and you can hit it, right? So you don't have to sacrifice shaft lean in attempt to try to square the face. Now, it's possible to get the face open at the top, bring it down, really swivel it, lean the shaft forward, and square the face. That's a big ask. In fact, if I tried to teach golf like that, and if I tried to teach the Operation Baby Draw program like that, I would probably have to sell my studio because I wouldn't be able to afford the rent. So when you look at developing a draw and you look at the success that people have with this program, I spend high emphasis on the setup. I spend high emphasis right here. What does it look like halfway back? It's on plane. The face is square. What does that club face look like right there? See the face looking back at us? And then from there, now the club face is good. Now we can start pitching the shaft back. Look at that. Now the club shaft is pitched back, but also notice we can still see some of that face. So the club shaft is laying down, it's shallowing out, and the face is still looking a bit back towards the camera. So the club face is still square. What's really interesting is sometimes you get the club face very prepared going back, and then when they shallow it out, the club face gets to open in conjunction with the shaft shallowing out. Now, the shaft shallowing out, which is great, but we still want to maintain the integrity of the wrist angles and the club face position right there. And that's where my hack motion starts to come in. I'm doing some really cool stuff there on a program that I'm going to release with them using the hack motion. And this is a critical position right here. This is a critical juncture in the Operation Baby Draw program, because I've got to get you to quantify that A, the shaft is pitched back, and B, the club face is still prepared. It's not open. Now, if you can get here, folks, man, you got a lot in your favor. You know, and what Adam's doing here is he's got it pitched back and he's turning and he's hitting it from the inside and the face is prepared and the shaft's forward. And he's got a little head cover under his left arm. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to rotate with it. He's not wanting to let his hand path travel down the line. Now, I wouldn't worry about that too much if you've never hit a draw before, right? Like if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I need to learn how to hit a draw with my 7-iron and my driver. Well, I'm going to spend a lot of time with you getting things organized going back, getting things prepared coming down, and then from there turning and hitting it. And if things kind of exit a little down the line to start with a little too much, that's okay. In time, we will start getting that thing to turn the corner. And this is a high skilled player who's got the face prepared, is turning good, has got good lead arm depth. Talk about that in full exhaustion. It's got its own video, for crying out loud, in the program. And then the shaft pitches back. And now from there, he's like, yeah, I've got it all organized. I got it all I want, but now I want to just turn and let it and let things turn the corner. So that head cover under his left arm really helps get the left shoulder to work back around and exit to the left. And that kind of makes his draw more subtle, right? More of a baby draw. What's interesting is when people go through this program, sometimes what I get, hey, Travis, I'm hitting a draw, which is awesome. I'm hitting it longer. I'm hitting it way better than I was. And then what happens is now it's starting to turn into a little bit too much of a draw. And that's when I would start to clean some things up as far as the exit plane, and maybe the head cover in the left arm would apply to you. But Adam Hadwin, man, clean, representing Operation Baby Draw. Here's Bezuidenhout. Christiaan Bezuidenhout, working with Jeff Smith, texting with him a little bit yesterday. And I brought this up because this, here's a guy that has made some changes. And Jeff didn't really give me full insight to what he's working on, but let's have some fun and look at Bezuidenhout from a few years ago on the bottom and Bezuidenhout more recently up top. Well, look at the first frame. Look at the club face. The toe is more down up top there. See the angle of the face, just like Adam Hadwin, matching the spine. On the bottom, toe's more up. Not only is it more up, but his left arm's kind of moving away from his chest. That chest, that left arm up top there, kind of more up underneath him. That left arm, that pressure point between the left arm and the pec. That keeps the hand path more in. That's key. David talks a lot about hand path and moving more in tomorrow. The club head feels like maybe it's a little more out in front and the face is looking down. Now, from there, as he goes to the top, it looks like to me, Bezuidenhout just making a better turn. And it's really fascinating. It's really fascinating to me that when you clean up the first move, okay, like Bezuidenhout, the top lefter, you clean up that first move, it does promote a better turn. Now that left shoulder can turn, get more behind the ball. You can definitely see a bigger turn in the right hip. I would bet $1,000 that that club face definitely what feels more closed in the first move, and B, he's turning deeper into the right hip to the top. Now, from there, as he comes down in the impact, he can probably get the sense that he's got a little more depth in his lead arm. He can turn and hit it and get the club to exit now just a bit more under the shoulder. That's a fairly big difference right there when you look at the pictures on the right. When you look at up top, that shaft is well under the left shoulder. And you look at the picture on the bottom right, it's definitely more up on top of the shoulder, a little higher exit. If you're learning to draw the ball for the first time, okay, a higher exit will let that breathe for a while. Hit your push draw. As that becomes a bit of a problem over time, well, then we'll start tightening that up with some rotation and getting the club to exit more to the left, like we saw with Adam Hadwin, like we're seeing with Bezuidenhout here. And so some noticeable differences there in Bezuidenhout. Club face angle, I think a better use of his rotation, more rotational freedom going back in the right hip, lead arm a little deeper, club face definitely more prepared. And now from there, he can come down and he can get the club to turn the corner back to the left. Hack Motion is an innovative wrist analysis sensor and app that measures players' wrist and hand movement in the golf swing. With audio feedback and different drill modes, it offers the capability to improve players' wrist mechanics in the golf swing to provide a better club face control and impact position. Hack Motion can be used for both full swing and putting to cover all golf shots. Hack Motion is used by some of the top golf coaches today around the world. Visit hackmotion.com. So kind of interesting. I like where Bezuidenhout's going. He's a name that we talked about him yesterday. I thought it was relevant for today. Now, let's finish up with Lexi Thompson. Lexi Thompson in the field this week. First off, I watched her press conference yesterday and loved it. She looked very comfortable, very happy. And I wish I like when Lexi is in that state of mind. You know, I mean, she's such an important figure, I think, in golf, and particularly, obviously, in women's golf. And I just loved the way that she was answering the questions and just looked very happy and very comfortable in being there. Lexi, her ball striking has struggled this year. And I want to show you some things here. Lexi does have a very unique swing. It's a swing that is definitely, I think, a swing that has had some guidance, right, as far as maybe some technical work. But I do think it's a feel swing. It can be a bit of a timing swing. It's a swing that I think she would tell you that has evolved as an effort of her trying to keep up with her brothers, who are both very good players and play the tour. And so when you watch Lexi and you watch her more recently, okay, and this is where she's been this year. This is very recent video. You want to talk about like a really good first move? I mean, Lexi keeps the upper left arm against the body extremely well. Her hand path comes in, and you can see the club head is a little bit out in front of her. She's always, to me, taken the club back so darn good. Like, I mean, her arms, hands, club to her turn, so good. Now, the thing to note here is the club face. Look at the club face at the top. Remember what I was talking about with the swings that we were looking at before? That club face angle right there is hiding behind the shaft. To me, that club face is open. Lead arm is around her. She's made a really good turn. She pitches the shaft back behind her. Again, that face to me, can't see it at all. Kind of the toe hanging back behind the shaft. It's open. And so she's got to really work to get the club face back around and square. Now, Lexi is a very high-skilled player, and she's able to take that club face and swivel it at impact with a certain amount of shaft lean. But I will say that amount of club face rotation through the impact zone with that kind of exit, and she's always kind of exited up in there, but even for Lexi, that's a pretty high exit. I mean, that's kind of up in the neck area. And when you look at the struggle with the wedge game, and then you look at the use of that club face, to me, that would at least raise a flag, especially when you go back a couple years and you look at Lexi in the way that she used to hit it. Now watch this. This is from a couple years ago. Watch the first move. Look at the club face. The toe is more down. Now watch the club face right there. Club face is looking back towards us. The club face up there, look at it. We can see it. Now, a little different camera angle, albeit, and I'm sure the camera angle police will be out on this, but I promise you, okay, taking the camera angle into consideration, that club face is not as open as what we saw just what I just showed you there more recently. Look at that club face. Let's see more of it. And so the club face is not as open. So now she can just turn and hit it, and the shaft's going to want to turn the corner a little bit better. It kind of works back, you know, around to the left. Look at that. That's a very different finish. She's really rotating back around to the left. I think if she tried to do that with the face more open, she could hit some wipes. And so when you start looking at what controls, what gives that player control. And let's just say wedge game, right? They need to be able to control that dynamic loft at impact. And that dynamic loft at impact is very much a part of that shaft lean, the consistency of that shaft lean at impact, which then kind of you factor in the speed and how much the speed of the club head is coming in and through impact. And so you've got to be able to control that shaft lean and that dynamic loft and the speed to be a good wedge player. It starts coming off consistently. And to me, when I look at Lexi right now and you start looking at that club face being open and much more open than what we saw earlier. And again, I agree. The camera angle is a little lower here than what we saw. But look, I'm telling you right now, that face is definitely more open. It's more open right now than it was a couple years ago. And then she's having to work much harder at the bottom. The variance in that shaft lean and dynamic loft becomes a little more of a guessing game, right? And it's enough to, kind of skew things and really affect proximity to the hole. So I just think Lexi could kind of look at, where is the club face right here? Where is the club face right there? Which then again up there. And then where is the club face? Probably a little bit right there. And just kind of managing that face to be a little bit more closed and then hitting shots. And then I think the shaft lean starts to be a little bit more consistent. The exit plane back around to the left, and all of those things start to clean up. So we go side by side. And again, camera angle, a little bit different. I get it. But I'm taking that into consideration. I've looked at a lot of video. And I'm telling you right now, you go to Lexi Thompson a couple years ago up top. You go to Lexi Thompson more recently on the bottom. And you look at the struggle with the wedge play, and you look at what good wedge players do, and that's control shaft lean, control dynamic loft, which then breeds into controlling the speed of the club head. And I think that club face a couple years ago at the bottom, or excuse me, a couple years ago at the bottom, the toe, you can see halfway back, more down. More recently this year up top, you can see the toe definitely pointing more up. You go to the top of the swing. The toe recently up top, kind of hanging behind the shaft. A couple years ago, the club face hanging out more to the right of the shaft. We can see the face. And if the face is more open like it is as of late, and we come back down, well, now we got to swivel that face. And I just think you're going to start seeing a little more variance in that shaft angle. That's going to affect the dynamic loft. Now the exit's got to be higher. Look at the difference in the exit plane on the right. Up top, they're very high exit. And again, Lexi has a high exit. I'm not trying to mold her into a pattern. I'm just saying, you look at Lexi from a couple years ago when the ball striking was good versus the struggles as of late. And that's a big difference in the face angle. And it's going to be a big difference in the dynamic loft at impact. And it's going to be a big difference in how the shaft exits. And so those are some things that I would say for Lexi to look at. She's playing this week. I think it's great. She's in good spirits. I think that's fantastic. And the fall series, I think, is really kind of shaping up into what I think we're going to see it be for years to come. Now, I say that, who knows, right? The PGA Tour and LIV, official World Golf Rankings came down and said LIV is no longer, they're not going to be eligible for points. I've got my opinion on that. I'll share it on Monday. We're going to be introducing a new segment on Mondays called Headlines. You'll have to wait to see on that. Got some cool stuff coming. And I'll give you my thoughts on what I think official World Golf Rankings and what all that means and does it mean, and PGA Tour and LIV and where we are on that. Who knows, right? I mean, it's just there's so much there's just so much murkiness right now, and it's hard to kind of figure out what's real and what isn't, and where things are going. But we'll continue to keep immersed on it on Monday, give you some thoughts there. But I thought today, kind of fun to prep you a little bit for what's coming with Leadbetter. I can't wait to share that with you tomorrow in studio. And then, some further things about Operation Baby Draw. The one thing I will tell you, for those that purchased Operation Baby Draw, if you haven't yet, go get it. It's the best $20 you'll spend. TravisFultonGolf.com, Operation Baby Draw. Get it. If you do, we're going to be sending out, for those that purchased it, a special offer for an online lesson. A big discount for those that purchased Operation Baby Draw and purchased the bundle. Okay, so if you went and got it as of late, we're going to be sending out a big special for you to do an online lesson with me where you can send me video of your swing, and then I'm going to give you a personal plan based off of that. And if you have the program or programs, I can help, bring it all together with the training program online as well. I've got some more stuff coming that I'm going to be adding to the website. So I appreciate the support on that. All right, enough for me. On a Wednesday, I got a lesson coming in. David Ledbetter tomorrow. It's Wednesday. Friday's near. Have a good week, everybody. Thanks for being here.